Hello, Watem here, welcome back to small Umineko When They Cry. Let us continue. Now let's go to the tea party of the unhuman. Just I feel it isn't quite right. I think it's supposed to be... I think the correct way of writing it would be inhuman. Or is that specifically inhumane I'm thinking of? In the cathedral devoid of people, a figure could be seen still staring up at the heavens. Its chest pierced with a long red sword that pinned it in place to the ground. That figure? Battler. Ironically, it looked... I brought that up last time. It looked just like what he'd done to Berto with blue wedges in the fourth game. Right, he used 4 blue wedges. You know, this one's red wedge. Battler had died quite some time ago. No. In this place, the concept of death means nothing except that one has stopped thinking. Therefore, in a sense, Battler was not dead. Also, I looked it up for the first time. Inhuman means anti-human or belonging to a class of non-human beings. Unhuman means not human, apparently. Both words have been in use for centuries. Anyway, after being defeated in a fight over the truth and surrendering, he no longer had the strength to think of a way to resist. That's what made him dead. Delano's massive longsword, which had been left in place with a tombstone, fastened Battler to the spot even after his death. This is all being lit by a faint light seeping out of an incredibly high skylight. Quiet footsteps rang out across the still cathedral. Oh, this still cathedral. Oh. From the darkness behind a pillar, a woman slowly stepped forward. It was Beatrice. Just like they'd been the whole time in the Golden Land, her eyes had no light in them, and were still muddied over with grey. This person was once unable to even drink black tea to her satisfaction by her own will. But though it was slow, and though there was no life in her eyes, she was, surprisingly, walking. Then, with slow, deliberate steps, she reached Battler, who was still dead, pierced through. Then she slowly touched Battler. She tugged on his sleeve. However, Battler showed no reaction. When she realized that it wasn't sleep, but death, the witch with the hopeless gaze let her head hang even lower. Then she quietly whispered.
Uso tsuki.
The breaking of a promise. Berto softly touched Battler. Then she pressed her forehead against Battler's chest. There was no longer any heartbeat. It wasn't just because he had surrendered, it was because the witches had chased him from the game board. But from now on, Battler would never return. So from now on, the Golden Witch Beatrice would have no reason to exist.
Arigato, Usatsuki. Sayonara. そして
And
ごめんね。
oh, I can hide that text. Interesting. Now, one thing which I am disappointed about from this episode as a whole, we had Battler finding the solution to the Epitaph, but we didn't get which Battler. Anyway, then the Golden Witch completed her task and scattered as a spray of gold. In the Golden Land, the grey rain gently continued to fall. There was a faint aroma of good black tea. Berto stared blankly at its surface. There was Vigilia continuing her knitting, along with me and Delano talking to each other. This is a recollection. A recollection from Battler's memory, which Delano's sword must have given him as it pierced him. A recollection of that time Delano had come to visit the tea party in the Golden Land. A hint, perhaps?
私も同じです。次に太刀を交えるときは遅れは取りません。
上等だ。相手してやるぜ。全力で来い。
Yeah, look at Battler saying that his only opponent is Beatrice and he's Beatrice's only opponent. And then immediately, wow, I mean in front of Beatrice even, when she can't even respond, cheating on her like this. Oh, Battler, come on, please.
約束します。全力です。
He's right there. Delano, huh? I'd thought she was an emotionless killer doll without a heart, but maybe she actually is pretty approachable. Though of course, neither of us will show any mercy when fighting over the game board. For a while we gazed at the rain-drenched rose garden, as we quietly enjoyed our tea.
しかし、恐ろしい。お前の戦い方は。ノックス10回だったっけか
I'm gonna guess on the tips. Then, commandments created by Delano Nox's father and used in heresy trials. Nox's first is forbidden for the culprit to be anyone not mentioned in the early parts of the story. That matches up. Nox's second... Just actually pull up the 10. It is forbidden for supernatural agencies to be employed as a detective technique. Not quite. The actual second is a bit more forbidding than that, as all supernatural, preternatural agencies are ruled out as a matter of course. Number 3, it's forbidden for hidden passages to exist. I've mentioned this several times, but not more than one secret room or passage is allowable. Nox's fourth, it's forbidden for unknown drugs or obscure scientific devices to be used. Yeah, kind of. No hitherto undiscovered poisons may be used, nor any planets, which will need a long scientific explanation at the end. Because at the time there were people who were writing those stories, and more of a way of going like, oh, look at how clever I am, and, well, that wasn't actually all that enjoyable for the reader. Nox's fifth, not included, but that's the best one! The No Chinaman must figure in the story, which is basically to say, don't have like a racist figure of it must be like a specific race who's more predetermined to pre-inclined to be aggressive. Definitely one to include, one of the best ones I would say. Nox's sixth. It's forbidden for accident or unaccountable intuition to be employed as a detective technique. Yep, kind of. No accident must ever help the detective, nor must he ever have an unaccountable intuition which proves to be right. I would say, like, the red truth kind of falls into this, but okay. Seventh, it's forbidden for the detective to be the culprit. Yeah, the detective must not himself commit the crime. Themselves commit the crime. 8, it is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not present. The detective must not light on any clues which are not instantly produced for the inspection of the reader. So, again, it's the detective that's forbidden in that case, specifically the detective. And it has... It's not even that... like, it can be resolved with clues that are not presented. Those clues have to be immediately produced for the inspection of the reader. They can't just hide it for a future date, like what Erica did with the seals and everything. Not bringing that up at all until later. Ninth, observers are permitted to put forward their own conclusions and interpretations. That one's actually a fairly bit different from the actual number 9, of the stupid friend of a detective, Watson, must not conceal any thoughts which pass through his mind. His intelligence must be slightly, but very slightly below that of the average reader. So that's a fair bit different. Number 10, it's forbidden for a character to disguise themselves as another without any clues. That's close enough, and effectively. Same, twin brothers and doubles generally must not appear unless we have been duly prepared with them. The debate over the interpretation of these laws continues to this very day, and has become the source of countless unfair controversies. While fundamentalists call any infringement upon these commandments heresy, revisionists point out that many canonized geniuses have violated these rules. Also very true. It's more of a set of guidelines for what makes for a good detective mystery, and specifically a specific type of detective mystery as well. But yeah.
ミステリーのお約束ってやつだろ。
はい。我が父が考案した戒律です。
And Nox even acknowledges that they're not perfect.
隠し扉は存在してはならない。ノックス第3条だっけか。だから探偵は隠し扉を探す必要さえないわけだ。なかなかの暴論だね。
Van Castell said it herself. She said that, because they were forbidden by Nox's third, even searching for hidden doors was a waste of time. I'd like to counter that by saying it probably isn't so uncommon for a rich family mansion to have a hidden door or two built into it. But apparently, that sort of rule works perfectly well in the mystery genre. And again, the rule is specifically no more than one. Anyway, by the way, there exist many wonderful mysteries in which hidden doors appear, and where hidden doors are a theme. Of course, this is limited to novels which have the premise that hidden doors exist. Yep. If that premise doesn't exist, hidden doors must not exist. Because that premise doesn't exist, there is no need to search for hidden doors. Oh, I accidentally scrolled down. I think that's probably the essence of her ridiculous argument. It's like the detective trying to expose the truth and the illusion, trying to confuse it with a mixture of truth and lies. Are getting blended together, leading to a bizarre form of argument similar to a devil's proof. Making a closed-room murder seem to be accomplished by a witch with magic is fantasy. And in fact, the Umineko itself is very much in breach of number 2, which is presumably why they had to rewrite it, because all supernatural or preternatural agencies are ruled out as a matter of course. Yeah, that's kind of the whole premise of this one. So that premise itself is broken. Exposing that it was a human's crime done with tricks is anti-fantasy. Examining all possibilities to expose the nature of those tricks is mystery. But it is also mystery, to claim that possibilities with no hint supporting them are unworthy of investigation? Let's say a hidden door is hidden in a way that there would be no clues. Or claiming that a hidden door therefore exists even though a detective couldn't find it. The anti-mystery? That's enough of that. This argument is too far of a digression from the riddles I'm actually supposed to be solving. My fight is very simple. I'm only fighting to explain how it was possible for a human to carry out these crimes that were supposedly carried out by a witch. This whole discussion about mystery and anti doesn't serve any purpose. That's why I didn't have any particular interest regarding these rules known as the Nox Decalogue.
ノクスはお嫌いですか？
苦手だな。隠し扉の存在を調べもせずに全否定可能なんて、なんだ悪魔の証明並みにうさんくせえな。ファンタジーの対極のはずなのに、なぜか同じ論法になっちまってる気がするぜ。言い過ぎた。お前の親父が作ったんだもんな。
お気になさらずに、戯れに過ぎないとおっしゃる方もいらっしゃいますので。
バトラ君には実戒はかなり傲慢なものに感じられるのでしょう。
正直なところを言えばな。隠し扉は存在してはいけないから調べる必要さえないなんて、頭のネジが落ちてないかどうか一緒に床を探してやるところだぜ。
ではバトラー、その第3条をなかったことにしましょう。そうなったら密室ミステリーはどうなるでしょうか。
What if Nox's third, hidden doors forbidden, didn't exist?
つまり密室トリックのオチに隠し扉が OK になるってことか。
手がかりや伏線のある隠し扉ではありません。隠しなのですから、無論探偵にも発見できない隠し扉です。
バトラ君はよく悪魔の証明により発見できない X の存在を仮定して戦いますね。つまりはそういうことですよ。
最悪だな。密室ミステリーが読み物として破綻しちまう。
And if it were no longer worth anyone's time, it would cease to exist. But yeah. Kind of the point which I feel like I've somewhat made before is that Nox's commandments are rules for writing a compelling mystery novel. It's not rules that actual murders have to follow by. And so as long as that's the case, detectives shouldn't be using Nox's commandments as a basis. No one would want to try solving the riddle from the beginning, not if they knew the answer might just be an unforeseeable hidden door.
せめて隠し扉はありませんと保証してもらってからじゃないと推理する気も起きない。なるほど。ノックス第3条は必要だな。
What about Nox's second then?
それがなけりゃ
What's it fourth?
密室ミステリーは読み物にもなりゃしねえ。
No, second.
推理する気も起きないとは、つまりどういうことですか？
つまり読む気もしねえってことだな。
そういうことです。人間は推理可能だという保証を得なければ思考さえできないか弱い生き物なのです。
推理可能、すなわち頑張れば解けますよという励ましが必要なのです。
That might be true. Same thing with exercising. If you're told to run around the campus 10 times, you can tough it out. Or if you don't know how many times you're supposed to run around it, you probably get tired out before you made it around 3 times. The same thing goes for thinking and reasoning. Humans view a problem differently, depending on whether or not it's guaranteed to be solvable.
推理小説で探偵が犯人が分かったと宣言するシーンがあるでしょ。あれはつまりそこまでの文章で手がかりは全て記したから。読者諸君、どうぞ推理をしてくださいという合図なのですよ。
へえ、単なるお約束のセリフかと思ってたが、そんな意味があったんだな。
意地悪に言うと、探偵がそう宣言しない限り、どんなにミステリーを愛する推理自慢の読者であっても推理をする気力は生じないということです。
No.
過去のゲームにおけるあなたもそうではありませんでしたか？
Now that I hear it, maybe that really was the case. Maybe my fight against Beato really began in the second game. First, I didn't seriously try to tackle the closed room riddles Beato threw at me. After all, I knew nothing except that people had died in the closed room, and the windows and doors were all locked from the inside. I mean, seriously, talk about having no hints to go on. So, I refused to argue on the grounds that I couldn't fight. Because the lack of clues made reasoning impossible. After that, didn't Beato sneer at me, asking if I'd repeat that over and over forever in an endless repetition of moves? At that time, Beato said this.
貴様ら無能どもがいつも嘆いてみせる思考停止の理由、情報不足。そしてそれに対し情報を与えると、今度はその情報の真偽を疑う根拠否定。便利よな。無能を棚上げする実に小気味よい言葉よ。
Then, she said she'd give me certain information that couldn't be denied, and created the rule called the Red Truth. Once we reached that point, the curtain finally rose on my battle with Beato.
俺はベアトに、この物語は挑めば解けるという保証をもらって、初めて同じ土俵に上がったというわけか。
ベアトリーチェ、不思議な方です。謎こそが魔女の住まう狭間なのに、自らその謎を暴くことのできる赤き真実をあなたに与え始めたのですね。
You could say the Red Truth is a hint Beato gives me, so that I can compete in this war of reasoning. Like candy. Because I've been given hints, it's like she's saying, try and solve it, for it can be solved. An enigma that's guaranteed to be solvable can't be called a true enigma.
これではまるでベアト自身が自分は本当は魔女じゃないって自分で認めてるようなものじゃないか。
おやおや、確かにそうなりますね。
Does it?
本当におかしな子です。
Beato gave no answer. With grey eyes, she did nothing but blankly gaze at the steam rising from her black tea.
我が父は思考する力に杖を与えるために実界を生み出したのです。決して物事を傲慢に決めつけるためではありません。
思考する力に杖。
そうです。ノックス第8条、提示されない手がかりでの解決を禁ず。これは手がかりなしに当て推量で推理をしてはいけないという意味だけではありません。
逆に言えば、出題者は解決のための手がかりを必ず提示しなければならないということです。
つまり実界に従うなら全ての謎には必ずヒントがあり、よって必ず解決は可能だと保証されていることになるわけか。
I see. If this is what they mean by a crutch for the power of thinking. If you can believe that it's solvable, you start wanting to have a go at those riddles. If you're capable of believing that hints do exist, you get fired up about rereading the story to search for them.
確かに推理しようとする人間にとって勇気を与える力はあるかもしれないな。
ノックス実界はミステリーの出題者に課す制限と思われがちですが、読み手にとっても大切なものなのです。実界を杖とすることで私たちは推理する勇気と 必ず隠されているに違いない手がかりを求めて、何度も物語を読み返す気力を授かるのです。
硬くて開かない。ジャム瓶の蓋みたいだな。母さんがよく言ってたぜ。開かないと思ってるといくら頑張っても開かないって。スポーツにもそういうのあるよな。必ず自分は成し遂げられるという強いイメージがあるのとないのでは。記録に大きく差が出るというし。
In that case, the Nox Decalogue isn't really a set of arrogant and strict restrictions. You can also see it as a way to encourage readers who are trying to solve a mystery by telling them to give it their all, since it's definitely solvable.
面白い解釈だ。
I think it's more that once you give the solution to the readers, whether or not it's an entertaining one for the readers, or if they're going to dislike it, to say the least, that's when it comes up. If it's something that the reader goes, well, yes, that makes sense, like, that would have been possible and we had the clues necessary to get to that, then the reader will enjoy having read it. If they get to the end and go, oh, this is nonsense and pointless drivel, why did I waste my time reading this pathetic excuse for a book? That's more along the lines of it, of the Ten Commandments.
しかし、世の中の推理小説すべてが必ず実戒を守ってるわけでもないと聞いたぜ。
And it is also more specifically for the whodunit rather than like a How Catch 'em style book.
そういう作品にぶち当たった時、騙されたってことにはならないのかよ。
実戒もまた解釈の一つに過ぎず、全てのミステリーに適用できるものではありません。父の原理主義者の方々は実戒を破った作品を異端と呼んで、激しく糾弾される方もいらっしゃるようですが。
There's no end of arguments like this in the mystery world. Was this or that famous detective novel really a fair mystery? In other words, one that followed Nox's Decalogue. That sort of argument is already an eternal theme of the mystery world. In fact, in mystery discussions, arguments like these sometimes become even more heated than discussions of the actual tricks.
そりゃ糾弾したくもなるだろうな。実戒に従い解けると信じて挑んで、実は解けるようにできてませんでしたってオチだったら、さぞや悔しくて仕方ないだろうぜ。
Less leaving it solvable by following the Decalogue, and more believable that it's solvable with hindsight. And the Decalogue is merely an observation of that. That's right. When fighting with the Decalogue, there's just one thing you want guaranteed from the beginning. In other words, you want a guarantee that this detective novel would adhere to the Decalogue. If a work labels itself as an orthodox mystery, then you have nothing to worry about. However, the mystery genre contains many unorthodox subgenres within it. Does that mean trying to use reasoning in an unorthodox detective novel is a complete waste of time?
それはそれで傲慢な気もするな。
So for the most part, the idea that it's solvable with hindsight, the benefit of hindsight, and then also the don't be racist rule. And yeah, also the no accident must ever help the detective, or an unaccountable. I mean, the unaccountable intuition, which proves to be right, kind of fits into that because it allows them to skip steps, while the reader doesn't get that privilege. And also the stupid friend of the detective must be have a slightly lower intelligence than that of the average reader.
はい、 私も父の実戒をそのような傲慢の武器にされるのは非常に悲しいことです。
お前は実戒を武器にさっきベアトと戦ったわけだが、それはつまりこのベアトのゲームの世界がノックス実戒にのっとっているという証なのか。
Oh, I already know that it doesn't follow the true Noxus Decalogue, because we're already breaking the second. On the other hand, it uses the premise of the existence of the witches. When I asked that, there was a strange silence. Gilead, Tilana, and of course Beato all remained silent for a while, almost as though my question had touched at the core of something.
それは私の口からは言えません。
どうして？
これはこの子の作ったゲームです。あなたと勝敗を決めるためのゲーム。この子はそれをミステリーとファンタジーの対決のように呼んでいました。しかし残念ながら本格推理とは一言も言っていません。すなわち実戒にのっとっているという保証はないということです。
しかし同時にミス・ベアトリーチェはあなたとの勝負のゲームだともおっしゃっています。それはすなわちあなたにも勝利する余地があるということ。
すなわち推理は可能だって、そう言いたいのか。
この子に言わせればおそらく推理は可能となるのでしょう。しかしこの子とバトラ君が送り手と受け手の関係であるように2人は異なる存在です。ベアトにとって推理可能なつもりで出題したものがあなたにとっても推理可能なものなのかは別の問題です。
For example, let's say we propose a simple riddle that any Japanese person would know. However, if the person you are telling this riddle to is a foreigner with a Japanese-English dictionary in their hand, what if I don't even have a Japanese-English dictionary in my hand? It might be almost impossible to solve. That's what I think for cases with the Epitaph riddle leading to the gold. In other words, it's possible to have a one-sided solvable problem, which might be easy for the questioner, but extremely difficult for the person trying to solve it. By the way, do you know of a foreign riddle? Why do dragons sleep all day? The answer is, to battle the night. Yep, that makes sense in English. It's a riddle from the English realm, so it might be a little tough for a Japanese person.
だからこそ私は
The pun on night.
この物語がバトラ君に絶対に解けるものだと約束することができません。しかしこれだけは約束できます。赤き真実でそれを保証します。
なんだ。
ベアとはあなたに解いてほしいと願って解けるようにこのゲームをこの物語の謎を生み出しました。
Yeah, I was thinking, as long as there's a raising for, there certainly exists the possibility of battle of winning. That means that it has to have been done by a human.
それだけは私が赤き真実で保証します。
It was the one guarantee that all those who try to use reasoning desire.